taking, 2000 aggravated battery. Also in 2000, criminal attempt to commit a felony. 2000 aggravated assault, 2006 aggravated assault. 2011 and 2013, those both, all those had aggravated assault convictions, 1 FTA and 5 probation violations. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bella is 50 years old. He has family in the state, including his parents. He is a high school graduate of Riverdale Senior High School. Prior to his arrest 245 days ago, he was employed at Bannister's Upholstery in East Point. He is a lifelong resident of Georgia. The address that is on file is still a good address. I have verified that with his mom. We are asking for a bond not to exceed $9,000, Your Honor. It's been 245 days. We're quickly approaching a year, so we are asking for a significant reduction to give him the chance to be able to afford the bond.
All right, what says the state?
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, just based on Mr. Bella's history, I do believe that he is likely to reoffend and a danger to the community. He has 51 arrests. So in order to secure his return to court, I understand that he's been in 245 days. However, I would ask the court to keep the bond substantially high. So I would ask or recommend $15,000 in this case.
All right. I'll add his name to my email, Ms. Beck. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. And previously I put in any mental health programs that Ms. Beck gets you into. You have 48. $10,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
That concludes my matters for today. May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Have a good weekend, Ms. Beck.
Thank you. You too.
All right, David Nim. Position 23. 23 CP 218410, 99 days without indictment, $30,500 good bond as of May 12th on robbery and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Pre-trial.
Bear with me, Your Honor. I'm still reviewing that one.
Okay.
Okay, this defendant has 34 arrest cycles in Georgia, beginning in 96.
Just take me back 10 years, unless
Okay.
it's something like, major.
Okay, we have a FTA in 2014. False imprisonment in 2013. Probation violation in 2015. Aggravated assault in 2017. Probation violation in 2021. And 2022. And no other felony convictions.
Go ahead, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Nime is a 44-year-old man. He's a lifelong resident of Atlanta and all of his family's here. He has 6 children, almost all of whom live here in Atlanta, and his grandchild is here in Atlanta as well. He's lived with his mother at 625 Joseph E. Lowry, number 11, for 10 years, and he will bond out to that address. He's a caretaker for his mom, who lives with cervical cancer, complications of which led to her using 2 colostomy bags, which she's had ever since. Mr. Nine plans to return to his job at CKS Packaging on Fulton Industrial Boulevard, where he has worked hard for 4 years. Mr. Nine is a trustee doing a work program 12 hours a day out of the annex. He lives with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. He's receiving medications for those diagnoses in the annex. He's been here over 3 months, as you heard, Your Honor. I'm asking for his bond to be reduced to $5,000. Mr. Nine vigorously denies some of the allegations, but without saying too much, I think this case, and when you reading the warrants, reading the police report, it's clear that it arose out of a clear mental health episode. I believe that was clear on scene. Mr.
Hold on a
Nine,
second. 5 South, booth 1, have a seat. Go ahead.
and just to wrap it up, Your Honor, Mr. Nine is open to whatever the conditions the court deems fit, of course, including further compliance with his care. Thank you.
Thank you. 5 North, booth 3, keep your head up. All right, what says the state?
Thanks, Judge. Judge, this is a particularly violent case. Mr. Nime has 34 cycles, 2 FTAs, 2 probation violations. I do believe that he is a danger to the community and the victim. I understand Mr. Hines' position where there are likely MH issues. So I would ask on the robbery charge, $20,000. On the obstruction charge, I would ask for $2,500. Along with wraparound services, I'm not sure if we can do that on a bond, but I would certainly ask for that in this particular case, Judge.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, place of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're gonna be working. Stay away from 29 Peachtree Street and gear. Stay away from any and all victims and all gear employees. Also, you can leave for mental health treatment, sir, as long as you supply that information to your attorney. 20,000 count 1, 500 count 2. Best of luck to you, sir. I got Brian Daniel. All right, let's see. All right, this is number 12, 23 CP 215263, 222 days without indictment, possession of cocaine, possession of firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of firearm during the commission of a felony. Right now, there is a $7,500 good bond as of April the 19th. Pre-trial.
Okay, this defendant has 12 arrest cycles in Georgia. Let's see, from the past 10 years, bear with me.
Ms. Hardy, I just emailed you the rotation. Maybe that'll make it a little easier. I sent it to Bostic.
Thank you. There is a felony conviction for possession of firearm during the commission of a felony. They received first offender in 2017. It says unsatisfactory conviction in 2023. Probation violation in 2018. And nothing further to report.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Safarasi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Daniel has been incarcerated 222 days without an indictment. He had his preliminary hearing back in May. The allegation is that he had 0.5 grams of cocaine and 2 firearms on him, Your Honor. That is really the basis of the felony for his possession of this case. He does have an open case in Henry, and there's a hold on him. And so I can explain a little about the hold is they produced him from Fulton County to Henry County. for his case. And then he came back to Fulton County, and then he had another hearing in Henry County while he was still in Fulton County custody. They didn't produce him for the second hearing, and then they issued a failure to appear on him for that. The Georgia Public Defenders Council is trying to resolve that hold because he didn't intentionally miss it. It was a Fulton County, he was in Fulton County custody at the time. Once we get that hold resolved, and we're actively working on that, once we get that hold resolved, we can apply him for the bail project. So Your Honor, his current bond is 7.5. I'm asking for a bond not to exceed 4,000. I mean, considering the small amount of cocaine we're talking about, I'm asking for UJR on that, and then 2,000 on each of the gun charges. A little bit about Mr. Daniel is that he's 40 years old. We have a good address for him in Riverdale, which he's had since 2019. We have good contact information for him and his family members, and I've actually been in contact with his brother. He is a lifelong resident in Georgia. He has his entire family here, including his 2 children who are both in their teens. He does have his GED. At the time of his arrest, he was working for driving apps, just doing like odd jobs for like DoorDash and things of that nature. And Your Honor, again, the extent of the time that he's been in the jail without an indictment, and the fact that really the underlying felony in this case is 0.5 grams of cocaine, I'm asking for a bond not to exceed 4,000.
All right, what says the state?
Thank you, Judge. Judge, just based on the fact that Mr. Daniel has had a prior firearm charge, I can't consent to lowering the bond. Now, if once the hold is resolved, then I'm more than open to have Ms. Ferrazzi contact me, and then maybe we can come up with a bond that will go, or that the bail project would accept. But up to this point, I can't consent to a reduction, Judge.
And I would note with the current hold, I can't do bail project. So it seems kind of redundant to not lower his bond, considering he's been in almost a year.
All right,
So
we got
keep
you.
it hold.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. You're gonna have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle once you're released from that hold, if Ms. Ferrazzi gets taken care of. 4 South, have a seat. 4 South, booth 3, have a seat. All right, so I'm gonna do 500 on count 1. 1,500 and 1,500, 500, 1,500, 1,500. Best of luck to you, sir. I will put his name on my email, Ms. Ferrazzi. All right, Devin Strong. Devin Strong, y'all swap seats. There you go. Position 13, 23, CP 215-265. 222 days without indictment, Ms. Ferrazzi, aggravated assault and criminal trespass. And there is a $25,000 good bond as of April the 17th. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 2 arrest cycles in Georgia. A first offender conviction for entering auto in 2022. It doesn't list a seal date or anything. And that is it, nothing further to report.
All right, looks like here it's alleged shot with kids and wife and or a woman in there. So anyways, what said you, Ms. Ferrazzi?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Strong has been incarcerated 225 days without an indictment. We had a prelim back in April of this year. That hearing was before Judge Locke. I would like to take some note because I did handle that hearing, Your Honor. No weapon was found, even though Mr. Strong was found at the scene. No bullet casings or any of that nature to actually indicate there was any gunfire was found. The only thing is the basis of the gunfire, there even being a gun involved in this case, is from his mother. I've been in contact both with Mr. Strong's grandmother and aunt, who are both related to his mother. It's his mom's sister and mother. They basically indicated he does not have a gun, and that there are some family issues, particularly with the mother, and that they strongly are in support of Mr. Strong, actually. And I believe they're either on the Zoom or they're on the YouTube chat in support. When he gets released, he will go stay with his mom. Not his mom, his grandmother, and she lives in Atlanta on Archer Street. I've already verified that with the grandmother. He will stay there. He has no problem staying away from his mom. He does not want to have contact. It's really a family situation. And I just want to note again, Your Honor, that Judge Locke, when he oversaw this prelim, he even mentioned that he found it enough for probable cause, but based on the evidence that he had heard, he did not think this would win at trial or anything near that. He did not think that this was strong enough. He thought this was very weak, even for probable cause, and he did note that on the record. But because probable cause is such a low standard, he ended up finding it, but he again thought that this was a very weak case, and the judge on the record made that determination. A little bit about Mr. Strong. He's 18 years old. He has up until 11th grade education. He spent his entire life here in Atlanta. His entire family lives here. He has a support system of his mom and his aunt. Sorry, not his mom. My apologies.
Hold on one second. Far South, y'all, keep your head up. You're in a courtroom. Go ahead, Ms. Alfarasi.
He has
Sorry.
sorry, Your Honor. He has strong support from his grandmother and his aunt. At the time of his arrest, he was working in a warehouse stocking shelves. He does have one child who's on the way. I think considering the fact that it's very weak evidence in this case, to the point where a judge makes that determination, and then the fact that he has a support system in the family, Your Honor, I'm asking for a significant reduction on top of the fact that he's been incarcerated for almost a year without any movement on his case. Your Honor, I'm asking for a bond not to exceed $10,000 in this case.
All right, what says the state?
Thank you, Your Honor. And with all due respect to Ms. Alfarasi, I'm pretty sure that we could prove our case at trial, with all due respect. In this particular case, Judge, the victim is the mother. She is against the defendant getting a bond in the first place. He already has one in place. The victim in this case, who I am pretty certain that the defendant was living with at the time of the incident, has expressed to us that she believes that Mr. Strong has mental health issues, and he is a danger to the family. So I would ask the court, if you are going to reduce the bond, to reduce it to $20,000. Again, the original provisions of no contact be imposed, or I would ask the court to keep it the same, and nothing further from the state.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Tina Strong. Stay away from 1871 Plaza Lane Southwest. Can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Got 15,000 and 2,500. 15,000 and 2,500. I'll put him in my email. Best of luck to you, sir. Jason Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Jason Lee, that's position 2023 CP 218405. 98 days without indictment. There is a $28,000 good bond as of May 12th. We got possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, theft by taking misdemeanor, escape, custody, and confinement, willful obstruction misdemeanor. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 19 arrest cycles in Georgia, felony conviction in 2002 for entering auto, possession of marijuana, 2005 possession of controlled substance, 2007 burglary and entering auto, 2013 possession of marijuana, 2014 escape, 3 probation violations and 1 FTA. Nothing further to report.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Hines.
Actually, Your Honor, with all due candor, I was made aware of these 4 hearings yesterday after 4 p.m. I have not had a chance to get to Cobb and speak with Mr. Lee. If I could have the court, if I could ask the court to recall this case and have leave to go to a breakout room with Mr. Lee.
Ms. Robinson, could you fix
I
it?
don't know if they can do a breakout room at
I don't-
Cobb because
I
they're
don't
not in an
really-
individual booth. They're in the
Yeah.
courtroom. So they may be able to let him call you on the phone from Cobb
Okay, I can,
if the deputy can accommodate that, but because they're in a courtroom at the Cobb jail or whatever.
They're actually in Fulton County, courtroom 3, I believe.
Oh, they're at Fulton County. So yeah, the breakout room, the deputy, I'm not sure what their staffing is. They may be able to let you call him if they have the staff. I'm not sure.
But I haven't heard a deputy in there lately. Have you talked to any of your people? Because your next one is Mr. Aldair Pineda.
yes, the other 3 were in Atlanta facilities, so I was able to talk to them. Also, I
Yep.
did have somebody else from ACDC.
I haven't seen a deputy in there. I don't know what you want me to do.
If I can chat with the courtroom,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. There's nobody that I don't know what I can do. There's no, you know. All right, let's go to the next one. Aldair, number 22. Aldair Callis Pineda. 23 CP 218408, 98 days without indictment. We've got $265,500 good bond, $265,500 good bond. BGCSA possession of schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute times 4. Trafficking in illegal drugs, tampering with evidence felony, willful obstruction. That's 528 grams of Xanax. Allegedly, that's 1,474 pills, 4.4 grams of shrooms, 102 grams of THC, 254 grams of THC oil, 2.4 pounds of marijuana. Oh, so it has 28 joints and 84 grams alleged of all cocaine. Freak.
This defendant has 3 arrest cycles with no felony convictions, no probation violations, and no FTAs.
Go ahead, Mr. Hans.
thank you, Your Honor. Aldair just turned 20. He's lived in Atlanta since he was 3, only knows Atlanta. His only ties are here. He lives with his parents and sister at 5801 Kingsport Drive in Sandy Springs. That is not the incident location, which I'll return to later. He's made it through the 11th grade. It's not a trial, of course, but the facts as alleged thus far do bear on the Ayala factors, insofar as Your Honor considers the severity of the case in assessing Aldair's risk to the community and his risk to flee the charges. So I just want to highlight a few things very briefly. Like I said, his address is not the incident location. He did not live where these alleged drugs were found. Other people live there. This is an equal access mere proximity case. And additionally, once discovery is furnished, it's almost certain that there will be a meritorious motion to suppress the original search and seizure that resulted in probable cause for the search warrant, where Aldair was not present at all for that original probable cause and arrest of his co-defendant. Because of these factors in the case, the weakness that I see in the state's case, because of his very almost non-existent criminal history and his ties to the community, I believe his current bond is grossly disproportionate to what he can pay and what the purposes of bond are. And I'm asking for it to be reduced to $20,000.
All right, what says the state?
Thank you, Judge. It is the state's belief that Mr. Calles does pose a significant flight risk in this particular case. Judge, the co-defendant and this defendant were both found in what basically is going to wind up being a drug manufacturing warehouse. And regardless of what Mr. Hines argues, that this defendant was wrong place, wrong time, I would seriously suggest that the bond is appropriate given the circumstances and given the fact that Mr. Calles Pineda probably has ties to a drug cartel out of the country. Therefore, I think the bond is appropriate, and I would ask the court to keep the bond as is.
And what's his co-defendant's name?
And I will tell you that in 1 second. I was just looking at that. Sorry, Judge, let me take a look. Jose Aviles.
Any idea how to spell?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
That's okay.
I can give you the CP number too if you need it.
Oh, I'm just for the bond order. That's fine.
Oh, I gotcha. It's Avilez, first name Jose.
All right. All right, I got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. He has to turn over his passport to his lawyer within 24 hours of being released. Stay away from 9200 Roberts Drive in Sandy Springs. I think I already said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. They're going to ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and legal employment. He has to supply the name of his employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location he's going to be working. No further contact this co-defendant, Jose Avilez. Yeah, 5,000, 75,000, 20,000, 20,000, 75,000, 4,000, and $250. 5,000, 75,000, 20,000, 20,000, 75,000, 4,000, and $250. Best of luck to you, sir. Aaron Spencer. Wave your hand if you're Aaron Spencer. Thank you, sir. All right, number 3, 23 CP 218507. 94 days without indictment, got aggravated battery and simple assault with a no bond as of May 16th. Free trial.
This defendant has 18 arrest cycles in Georgia, no felony convictions, 3 FTAs, and 1 probation violation. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Mr. Showalter.
Aaron Spencer is 31 years old, and he had a GED in 2010. He's at the defendant's request, due to his long incarceration and his past residentially challenged, he wants like a signature bond or just a very, very low bonds that he can get out. He's not usually a violent defender. This particular instance was just 2 guys fighting, a big scuffle, and he bit in self-defense and did more damage than he intended to. And I would like him to have an opportunity to be on the outside of the jail and to make something better of himself. We're trying to get some social work programs lined up for him, Your Honor. So I'm asking for either the idea that he wishes for, some type of signature bond, or just something very low, under $5,000 or something.
Is he going to have an address he's going to return to once he makes bond?
Nothing set in stone right now, Your Honor. I'm sorry. He was previously at the Atlanta Rescue Mission.
All right. Stand by 1 second, State. So, Mr. Hines, on Mr. Lee, they said the rod's ready to take him back. You can give him your contact number, and they ask that it be reset for a week, give you time to talk to him. I guess there's no way they can get you to talk to him.
Okay, Your Honor, and my apologies for the inconvenience, but we can be sure that it will only be a week reset.
Ms. Robinson?
I can reset the case. Hopefully they'll give him a chance to go to talk to him. I'll reset it and put it on an add-on for next week.
She'll put it on the add-on for next week. Mr. Lee, we'll get you back next week.
Thank
Right.
you so much.
Sure. All right, go ahead. What says the state on Mr. Spencer?
Thank you, Judge. Judge, I'm going to ask for a bond of 20,000 on the aggravated battery, 5,000 on the simple assault, 25,000 total. Stay away from Elmas Talley and the incident location and the court's usual conditions.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Elmas, ELMUS Talley, TALLEY. Stay away from 1001 Piedmont Avenue. Stay away from all Dollar General stores, sir. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply, thank you, ACDC Cobb. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You must supply an address where you're going to be living, even if it's back at the Atlanta Mission, to get released. 20,000 count 1, 3,000 count 2. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, Mr. Showalter, I'm going to apologize in advance if I mispronounced it. Taheem Ellis. Thank you, sir. I hope that's right. Mr. Spencer, you can leave the booth. All right, Mr. Ellis, number 2, it's 23 CP 218515. 95 days without indictment. We got an $85,000 good bond as of May 16th. Aggravated assault against law enforcement officer, fleeing, attempting to elude, reckless driving. Preach. trial.
This defendant has 19 arrest cycles in Georgia, no felony convictions, 1 FTA, and 1 probation violation. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Mr. Showalter.
Mr. Ellis is 28 years old. He has an address at 1133 Bailey's Court, Jonesboro, with his mother, sisters. And he's been in Atlanta for 17 years. He has 5 children, 9, 8, 5, 2, and then he has a newborn on the way. He has a newborn baby from May 4th. They're all living.
I was
in
gonna say newborn on the way. That's kind of.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Yeah, so all in Atlanta. Those are his connections with the community, lots of children, lots of family. He was working in construction as a subcontractor. And he's been incarcerated for over 90 days, and it's clear that he can't make the bond. And so in accordance with the purpose of bond, I would ask that be lowered to something. Yeah, no more than $10,000, Your Honor.
All right, what says the state?
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, based on the fact that Mr. Ellis is 28 years old, he's already had 19 prior encounters with law enforcement officers, and in this particular case, he decided to run from police officers. And one of these charges does involve an aggravated assault against a police officer. Based on the egregiousness of the circumstances and the fact that Mr. Ellis has demonstrated a clear inability to follow directions, I don't believe that any order fashioned by this court will actually convince Mr. Ellis that he has to follow the rules. So with that said, I do believe that he is at risk to reoffend and a serious danger to the community at large and law enforcement in the community. So I would ask the court to leave the bond as is for the moment.
Well, I would hope that Mr. Ellis would think about that little baby and want to see that baby grow up and be with that baby, and will change and try to do his best to follow the rules of the state of Georgia and the United States of America, so that he can be in his child's life. But no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 5495 Old National Highway. No driving until your bond is modified. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. And I got that you're gonna live in Jonesboro, so you can stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court or to see your lawyer. 40,000, 20,000, and 5,000. 40,000, 20,000, and 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. Congratulations on your new child. All right, Theodore Maltzby. You can leave the booth, sir. Theodore Maltzby. Got to wave your hand when I call your name. 10-4. Position 11, 22, CP 212314, 339 days without indictment. There's a $10,000 good bond as of March 23rd for aggravated assault. Free trial.
This defendant has 45 arrest cycles in Georgia, a 1991 conviction for burglary, 93 conviction for robbery, burglary, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, 2005 conviction for robbery. And there are 9 probation violations, nothing further to report.
All right, and Miss Jones, I think you had a case this morning.
I did. I'm so sorry, Judge.
No, I didn't know if you knew. They said it may have accidentally got assigned to you. It's reset for September the 7th. It's Richard Matthew Cartier.
Yeah, that's what, is her name Ambria?
Yeah.
She's really nice. That's what
I just
Ambria told me
I
today.
didn't know. We thought maybe it accidentally got assigned to you by default. So, but we should reset it for September 7th.
That works for me.
All right,
That's
go ahead on
awesome.
Mr. Maltzby.
Mr. Maltzby, Judge, is 60 years old. He is a lifelong resident of Georgia, mostly in Ware County, but he's been in Atlanta since 2012. Excuse me, when he got picked up, he'd been working at the food shop, which is over on Lucky. He's still got that job available to him. In fact, he's going to be working at the new food shop. I didn't know that they had opened up a new one over in Midtown. he's probably gonna be working at that Midtown one. Judge, he is homeless, has been for a while. The social worker that I'm working with got him admitted to Trinity House. And we would like for him to go to the Trinity House, asking for, I'm not sure, is Agasalt one that you can get UJR on? I need to bring myself up to speed on that.
Yeah, you can't get it on Agasol.
I kind of thought so. So I'd ask for $1 on the Agasalt, have him be released to Trinity House. It's my understanding that the state hasn't gotten in touch with the complaining witness in this case. I don't know where to find him. The case hasn't been indicted. We're at what, 11 months now. I've invited the state to accuse the case. But they're not doing that either. I filed a waiver of indictment recently. So in the meantime, while the state is A, looking for its complaining witness, B, maybe looking for the police officer so it can indict it, I'd ask that you release Mr. Maltzby to the Trinity House with the lowest bond you can.
Go ahead, Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, Mr. Maltzby is a repeat offender. He does have several prior convictions. This incident involved a stabbing, and this incident is on tape. Ms. Jones is aware of that. I believe the victim in this case is also homeless, so it has been difficult to find him. I think the bond is appropriate given the circumstances and the fact that Mr. Maltzby is likely to reoffend, unless there's some sort of condition or some sort of outlined amount of time that Mr. Maltzby is going to stay, and whether or not it is residential or inpatient. I can't consent to anything lower at this point.
Trinity House is. I don't know why the state can't find the complaining witness. He's on probation. My client's not. My client hasn't had a felony conviction since 2005. Hasn't, and I don't think has had a misdemeanor conviction since 2017. He's not on probation, but he would be going and staying at the Trinity House.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Waffle House locations. As much as it pains me, you have to stay away from all Waffle House locacations.
He'll be
Stay
fine
away-
with that.
Stay away from 135 Andrew Young International Boulevard and 120 Ted Turner. No drugs unless prescribed. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, mental health program, participation in Trinity House. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, exact location you'll be working, supply an address upon release. No further contact with Oscar Johnson. $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. And I will put his name in my email to Miss Willis, as I do each night, if there's anyone over 200 days.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
I'll talk to you soon, Theodore. You can call me.
Thank you, Miss Jones. I think that's all you got tonight. Have a good evening.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Mikhail Sasparas. Thank you, sir. Sorry, Sasparas. Sorry, sir. I may have mispronounced it. Number 14, 23 CP 217946. 115 days without indictment. There's a $115,000 good bond as of April the 25th for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 14 adult cycles in Georgia, beginning in 2014. No felony convictions, 1 FTA and 1 probation violation. Nothing further to report.
Who's handling this for Miss Correa? Or is Miss Correa here? Do we got a lawyer here?
Sounds like crickets, Judge.
I know, right?
Judge, I can contact her.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go to the next one. Antavius Carter, wave your hand, Mr. Carter. All right, 23 is number 5, 23 CP 218108. 110 days without indictment, $25,000 good bond as of May 1st. Aggravated assault, criminal damage, property, first degree, terroristic threats and acts, battery.
And Your Honor, we would like to waive hearing on a couple of his priors. The
Go ahead,
pretrial window. Waive sounding, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, position number 5, is that correct?
It's 5. If it's CWAG, just tell me it's CWAG, so I'll know. Go ahead. Yeah, position
Okay.
5.
Okay, this defendant has 2 adult cycles in Georgia, no felony convictions, no probation violations or FTAs. Nothing further to report.
So are we waiving a CWAC case or something?
It's not CWAC, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Ms. Cole.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Carter is 18 years old. He has lived in Georgia his whole life. He does have an address. It is the address of the incident location. He lives there with his mom and his siblings. He is gone through the 10th grade and he's currently working on his GED. Your Honor heard that he has very limited criminal history. Additionally, he does have some injuries. He was previously shot in the ankle and needs to go to Grady. He's experiencing a lot of pain surrounding his foot and his ankle, and he hasn't been seen by a doctor or been able to get the boot that he's been recommended to have on his foot. He said they wouldn't let him have it there at the jail. He does have a hold in DeKalb County that is basically his bond was revoked in DeKalb County based on these charges. That is where his other charge is. Those are his only 2 charges, Your Honor. He has a $25,000 bond on this case. However, he'd be going back to DeKalb to handle that case. It is a more serious charges. We're asking that his bond be reduced to half, or if the court would consider reducing it to a nominal amount in order to him to go to his hold. That's what our request is.
And his address on Cleveland or Campbellton?
Oh, I have Campbellton. I'm sorry, maybe it wasn't the incident location.
Okay, all right, what says the state?
Thank you, Judge. Again, this is something that I can't consent to. We have spoken to the victim in this case, which is actually very close to Mr. Carter. Basically, the victim didn't want to consent to bond in the first place. She's all right with bond at this point, but as part of the bond condition, she wants him to be on medication and to actually to take his medication. I'm not sure if Ms. Cole probably has a diagnosis already. So if the court wishes to lower the bond, that would be one of the conditions that I would ask for. In the meantime, I would ask for a bond of $20,000. And I understand why you would waive sounding, Ms. Cole, and I understand that he has more serious charges in the cab. However, that would be my position for the moment, Judge.
All right. So no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Erica Harper, Quilandra, Qulandrea Norris, and Tavius Carter Sr. and Deborah Carter. Stay away from 1950 Campbellton Road, Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, including mental health and basic life necessities and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working. Heads up, everybody, heads up, sit straight up. We got 8,000, 4,000, 3,000, 3,000, 8,000, 4,000, 3,000, 3,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lead the booth.
And that concludes my business, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. You and your co-counsels there. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do have Johnson on the add-on calendar, but we had his prelim and bond hearing this morning.
Yes,
Or is
ma'am.
that-
Thank
you.
you. Mr. Carter, you can lead the booth. Cameron Talbert. All right, position 15, 23, CP 217959, 115 days without indictment, no bond, armed robbery, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, possession of firearm or knife during the commission of a felony. Then you got 23, CP 217960, 100 days without indictment, no bond as of April 26 on theft by taking felony. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 5 arrest cycles in Georgia. Felony conviction in 2011 for criminal damage to property where they received first offender treatment. It was sealed in 2021. 2015 conviction for armed robbery and aggravated assault. 1 probation violation. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. First thing I bring to the court's attention is that, yeah, he's been in jail over 100 days without bond, but also without a preliminary hearing. And I don't know who or what clerk to kind of bring that up.
Send that to send an email to Ms. Watts.
Ms. Watts, thank you. Along with Mr. Tolbert, there are several other of my clients that were arrested around the same day that have never had their prelim. So I'll let Ms. Watts.
maybe email Miss Watts, that's a good start.
Yeah, all right, I'll try that. Thank you.
Okay.
But beyond that, Judge, Mr. Tolbert is 30 years old. He is from the state of Georgia. He's lived his whole life here. He's not a flight risk at all. Most of his family is here in Georgia as well, and he would be residing in Atlanta at the address of 2024 Arlington Circle with his mother and his brother as well. He does have 2 children, one who is 11 years old and one who is 4 months old now. He was just born days before that he was arrested. Mr. Tolbert has received his GED, was working in construction, believes he'll be able to work and will try to find work should he be released, aiming to be employed through Amazon. Judge, I would just add, of course, we haven't had a chance to contest the charges without a prelim. The officer has not had a chance to even answer for the charges that he's placed on my client. But we have had contact with both of the complaining witnesses for each of these cases. As for position 15 or 16, the theft by taking case, it's my understanding that the complaining witness for that case has been in contact with the DA's office and has made it clear that she has no intentions of moving forward with the case or testifying against Mr. Tolbert. As for position 15, I just would hazard a guess, Judge, that the state has not had contact or substantial contact with that complaining witness as well. It's my understanding that even the officer that was involved in that arrest, and this would, of course, eventually come out at a prelim, but that officer was wrestling with various versions of the story from just that one complaining witness. I'm just would be under the impression that I don't know if either of these cases would stand trial. However, that will come at a later day. Of course, we haven't had a chance to fight the thing at prelims yet. But with that, Judge, I just wanted to assert that Mr. Tolbert would not be able to afford much for bond at this point. So I would ask for position 15, $15,000 bond on the armed robbery, $5,000 on each of the gun charges, and for position 16, $5,000 on the theft by taking.
All right, what says the state?
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, on position 15, the state would ask for 50,000 on the armed robbery. On the possession of firearm by a convicted felon, I would ask for 20,000. On the possession of a firearm during 20,000, and on the theft by taking 10,000, aggregate 100,000. No weapons. Stay away from the incident location. No contact with either one of the victims, and the court's other usual conditions.
All right, let's see. Number 16, ending in 7960. No drugs unless prescribed. No alcohol. No weapons. No further contact with Troy Velle, Troyvelle, last name Sharp, SHARP. Income monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working. I think you said you had a fairly newborn child. So we'll add basic life necessities. Stay away from 2471 Old National Highway. $5,000 good bond. On position 15, ending in 7959. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2471 Old National Highway. No further contact with Robert Bell. No further contact with your co-defendant, Keshundra, Keshundra Stewart, Stewart. Have an income monitor paid for by the county with that 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, basic life necessities. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Sorry, throat strap. 25,000, count 1, 5 and 5. 25, 5 and 5. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right.
Judge, that concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All right, Anthony Williams. Okay, we got way more people in this booth than we have people left. If I have called your name and heard your case, you can leave the booth. All right, Anthony Williams, position 18, 23 CP 218367. 100 days without indictment. There's a $40,000 good bond as of May the 10th for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 11 arrest cycles in Georgia, felony conviction in 2009 for possession of controlled substance with intent to distribute, 3 probation violations and 1 FTA. Nothing further to report.
All right. Okay, where's Mr. Cashlin? Huh. No, Mr. Cashlin. No, Miss Correa. No, Mr. Cashlin.
Judge, that is not Ms. Correa's fault. Mr. Safras is my client.
Oh,
I
okay.
apologize.
That's okay. What about Mr. Cashlin? Anybody know where he is?
I will send him a message, Your Honor.
All right. While he's doing that, let's go to the next one. So we'll be right back with you, sir. How about Terrence Canada? Or Canada, sorry. Position 6, 23 CP 218512. No bond as of May 16th. Possession of Schedule 2 with controlled substance, aggravated assault. It's alleged the victim was shot in the abdomen and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 10 arrest cycles in Georgia, felony conviction in 2010 for possession of cocaine with intent, along with street gang activity. 2012 inmate with prohibited item, 2016 possession of cocaine, and 1 probation violation. Nothing further to report.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Showalter.
Mr. Canada is 34 years old. He does have an address on file that he can return to. He's a high school graduate and he's a Georgia native. He worked at LA Fitness and had a nonprofit as his music business, and he has a 15-year-old son. He's been incarcerated for over 90 days, Your Honor, and I'm arguing for his bond to be reduced no more than $10,000 so that he can secure his release and better, return to court, get his affairs in order and do his things, Your Honor.
Is he gonna live at the Piedmont address?
Yes, Your Honor. That was his old home address. Yes, Your Honor.
You're living at the Piedmont address? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. Perfect. All right, go ahead. What says the state?
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, based on Mr. Canada's history, and I apologize for butchering that, Mr. Showalter, I'm going to ask for the following: 20,000 on count 1, 100,000 on count 2, 50,000 on count 3, aggregate total of 170,000. No drugs, no weapons. Stay away from known gang members. Again, no social media. The usual conditions that the the court imposes. And no contact with the victim, which I believe his name is Michael Paul. Nothing further from the state, Judge.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons, no social media. Stay away from 635 Lindbergh Drive. No further contact with Michael Paul, P-A-U-L. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and that exact location you'll be working. So I got 15,000 count 1, 100,000 count 2, and 50,000 count 3. 15,000, 100,000, 50,000. Best of luck to you, sir. So I got, all right, let's see. Paul Binion. All right. Who's got this one? Oh, Mr. Cho. All right, we got position 7, Paul Monroe Binion, 23 CP 218126, 109 days without indictment, $20,000 split bond as of May the 11th on theft by taking, ag assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, simple battery, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And we got position 8, 23 CP 218127. Aggravated assault upon a police officer while engaged in official duties, fleeing, attempting to elude, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Reckless driving, drama license suspended or revoked, willful obstruction, hit and run. And that has a $69,000 good bond as of May the 2nd. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 19 arrest cycles in Georgia, felony conviction in 2006 for theft by taking, 2008 for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, 2008 for escape, 2010 possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, 2012 theft by taking, 2015 aggravated assault, 3 probation violations and 1 FTA. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. It looks like in Jail Odyssey, the case number ending in 126, there's a no bond status currently.
Well, I've got 20,000 split, so 20,000 on the theft by taking count 1 and no bond on the rest.
I see. Okay, so Judge, thank you for that. I was looking it up
Sure.
in Odyssey. Long and short, Your Honor, Mr. Binion does qualify for a bond on the charges that are unindicted at this time and are in no bond status based on the length of time in custody. He is 37 years old. He has a good address in Palmetto, Georgia. He was previously working for Palmetto Line Contractors. He cuts power lines and is not making any income based on the number of days he has been in custody per what the court has already said on the record. Possession of firearm charge, if it's still alive and active, Judge, there was no victim listed. And Your Honor, long and short, the theft by taking charges are for a rental truck. And my client did not know that it was stolen. Mr. Binion denies aggravated assault charges. He denies ramming any patrol vehicle. What he was trying to do was avoid the police officers by swerving. I have no issue with a well-done pit maneuver per se, but I think it does say a lot that if an officer does execute a pit maneuver, then to charge client with an aggravated assault charge is a little inverted, maybe is the best way to put it. He's been in Georgia his entire life. I don't believe he's on probation or parole. We are asking the court to consider reduction at this time based on the lack of movement in either case.
All right, what says the state?
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, the state believes that Mr. Binion is highly likely to reoffend. This is his third possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And with all due respect to Mr. Cho, we will get to the facts of the case at either preliminary or in trial itself. Just based on Mr. Binion's history, the fact that he does have a propensity to continue committing crimes, and there are 2 positions on this calendar. I would ask the court to leave position 8 as is. I think it's appropriate given the circumstances. On position 7, I'm going to recommend the theft by taking stay where it is. I will be asking for 20 on the ag assault, 20 on the possession of a firearm during, 5 on the simple battery, and 20 on the possession of firearm by convicted felon for an aggregate total of 85,000 and the court's usual conditions, Judge.
All right, let's see. On position 7, ending in 8126, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Trevor, Trevor Israel, Israel. Stay away from 6604 Landberry Way. Ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. No further contact with Charles Israel.
Medical.
And medical. I was just reminded by my staff attorney. I thought I said medical, but I was just corrected. Thank you, Madam Staff Attorney. All right, let's see. You know my staff attorney, Mr. Cho. That's
Very qualified, Your Honor.
15,000, 20,000, 20,000, 5,000, and 20,000. Right, and number 8, No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no driving until your bond is modified. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and that exact location you'll be working. Stay out of Fulton County except for court and to see your lawyer. No further contact with Officer James Irvin unless it's in his official capacity. So I got 40,000, 2,500. 2,500, 2,500, 500, 500, 500, and 500. 40,000. 2,500, 2,500, 2,500, 500, 500, 500, and 500. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle, sir, if there's any holds out there. Best of luck to you, sir.
And
Thank
Your
you,
Honor, I
Aaron.
apologize for interrupting. I was able to track down Mr. Cashland's file, so if you would like to address that one whenever, I will be filling in for him.
All right, thank you. Mr. Binion, you can leave the booth. All right, let's see. Anthony Williams. Sorry, gotta make you do this one more time. 23, number 18, 23 CP 218367. Anthony Williams. 100 days without indictment, still a $40,000 good bond as of May 10th. Aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. One more time. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 11 arrest cycles in Georgia, a felony conviction in 2009 for possession of controlled substance with intent to distribute, 3 probation violations, and 1 FTA. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Miss Eustace. I thought you were just on here because I'm your favorite, because you didn't have any cases on here, but go ahead.
I did not have cases on, Your Honor. I had it playing in the background, and then I ended up finding a need. It always happens that way.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams is 53 years old. He has lived in the Georgia area since 1998, so he has a significant amount of time that he's been here. The address on file is an address where he did live. Unfortunately, that is the incident location. If he is ordered to stay away from there, he does have another alternative address that he can go to. He did receive his high school diploma and also a bachelor's degree from Auburn University. He was, prior to his arrest, auditing courses to get a PhD in organizational management from Georgia State. We would be asking for a reasonable bond to be set. He does have a couple of medical ailments that he is suffering at the jail, and unfortunately, the jail is not really adequately equipped to give him the medications that he does need. So he does have some issues with that. His bond is currently $40,000, which he is unable to afford. We would be asking for a bond not to exceed $10,000.
All right. I just stopped at the Buc-ee's down there, Auburn, the other day. The Buc-ee's down there, sir. You missed it. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Marquez. And Mr. Marquez, do you notice how she skipped over when I said I thought I was your favorite? But she skipped over that real quick.
That's true, Judge. That's true. Shame, Miss Yusuf. Judge, the state's position is the following up. We've had limited contact with the victim in this case. So just in an abundance of caution and to protect the victim, I would ask for a stay away from the incident location. I'm willing to put the aggravated assault at 20,000 and the possession of a firearm during, I will go with 5 aggregate of 25, Judge.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2174 Lenox Road. No further contact with Melissa Rodriguez. Ankle monitor paid for by the county. A 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, exact location you'll be living. And also basic life necessities. You can return one time there with law enforcement to retrieve your personal belongings. You also have to supply a new address. 18,000 count 1, 5,000 count 2. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, Mr. Korn. This is Darius Spellers.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, 23 CP 218364, 101 days without indictment, no bond as of May 10th. Armed robbery, ag assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, hijacking a motor vehicle, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 17 arrest cycles in Georgia, felony conviction in 2011 for forgery, where they received first offender treatment and it was sealed in 2017. 1 probation violation and 1 FTA. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Mr. Korn.
Your Honor, Mr. Spellers is 34 years old. In fact, he celebrated that birthday 2 days ago there at the Fulton County Jail. He is a lifetime Atlanta metropolitan area resident. He graduated from Banneker High School. His listed address on the form, the booking form, is around the corner from the incident location. However, he does have a different address, which I have verified to be 60 Heery Road, Heery, in Noonan, Georgia. Where he would live with his the mother of his children and his 3 young children. He's being held without bond. He has been since actually I have May 9th as his arrest date. We would ask the court to give him a reasonable bond of no more than $10,000 per count and allow him to get on home to his family.
All right, what I use is just the date the last bond order was done, so that must have been his first appearance date, the 10th. All right, go ahead, Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, given Mr. Speller's history and the fact that this is a particularly egregious case, the state does believe that he is a threat to intimidate witnesses. This again occurred just down the street from where he was living at the time. And he is a danger to the community and at risk to reoffend. So on the armed robbery, I would ask for $50,000. On the ag assault, I would ask for $25,000. On the firearm, I would ask for $25,000. On the hijacking, another $50,000. And I believe on the firearm by convicted felon, I would ask for 20 unless it's already set.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1280 Benten, Benten Way. No further contact with Robert McCullough. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, exact location you'll be working. You have to supply that to Mr. Korn and to the ankle monitoring company, probably Mr. Korn via email. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court or to see your lawyer. Got 40,000, 25,000, 15,000, 40,000, 15,000, 40, 25, 15, 40, and 15. Best of luck to you, sir.
Oh, and Judge, can we just edit that to be it's Ronald? I think the court said Robert. I'm not sure.
Oh, is it Ronald? Sorry, can't read my own handwriting. Ronald. That's gonna
Me
be
either. Me either. Just
Oh,
want to let
Miss
you know.
Miss Robinson got to start reading my handwriting. I have to get it a little bit neater. All right, let's see. You can go ahead and lay the booth, sir. All right, Mr. Sassafras. We got position 14, Mr. Joe 23. Thank you, Mr. Korn. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, you too, Joe.
All right, 23 CP 217946, 115 days without indictment, $115,000 good bond. As of 425, aggravated assault, possession of firearm during the commission of a felony. Pre-trial.
This defendant has 14 adult cycles out of Georgia, no felony convictions, 1 FTA and 1 probation violation. Nothing further to report.
Go ahead, Mr. Joe.
Your Honor, we had a preliminary hearing on this case on July 20th, 2023. We asked to address bond subsequent to that preliminary hearing. And Mr. Saffras and I were both very disappointed when we were told that bond was not going to be addressed because Marcy's law had not been complied with. To be very clear, Your Honor, the defense has no burden to comply with Marcy's law. And so for that to be used as a reason why bond was not addressed was, I'll just leave it at disappointing, Your Honor. Judge, it is a 6-figure bond currently, and I've seen much more serious charges with lesser bonds in superior courts for complex cases. I'll leave it at that. Long and short, Your Honor, I was told by the previous attorney working on this case that there may be a toxic prior relationship in this situation. But what I'll emphasize, Your Honor, and what the officer detective did verify at the probable cause hearing was that the complaining witness, Mr. Dindy, D-I-N-D-Y, was highly intoxicated at the time of this situation, was unable to communicate, was uncooperative, and Dindy refused to provide any description or any further information about the shooting. So, Judge, long and short, I understand the allegations are what they are, but I think there is some room for reasonable disagreement on what actually occurred in this case. And Your Honor, we'd ask the court to consider a substantively reduced bond in this case. Mr. Safras is 23, he's from Atlanta. He'd be in the 30311 zip code. He has up to 10th grade education and was working at Comfort Inn doing housekeeping and maintenance prior to this case. Denies these allegations. And Judge, you heard his history. It is very minimal. And I'll leave it at that. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Marquez.
Thank you, Your Honor. With all due respect to Mr. Cho, I was also at the preliminary hearing. I think, given the circumstances of this case, the fact that the victim in this case was shot by a firearm, and Mr. Safras is 23 years old with 15 cycles already. There are, from what I understand, and I just want to make sure before I tell the court something different. Not sure if he still has open cases in other counties. I'm sure Mr. Cho will correct me. One of those cases is a jail case in this county. So I think the bond is appropriate given the circumstances at 115,000. And I will leave the rest of the court's discretion.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. He can live in Fulton County, Mr. Cho? Oh, you're on mute, Mr. Cho.
Campbellton Road, Fulton County, right, Mr. Safras? Yes.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Fulton County.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 519 Cleveland Avenue. No further contact with Tracy, Tracy, Dindy, Dindy. Ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and that exact location you're going to be working. 75,000 count one, 10,000 count two. 75,000 count one, 10,000 count two. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, that's it, right?
Thank you,
What
Eddie
happened to the
Marquez.
add-on?
Thank you, Judge.
No, that one was at Freeland this morning.
Ah, gotcha.
We handled it there.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's it, unless I'm missing something.
Your Honor, I don't believe position 10, Yolanda Wright was called.
That was indicted.
Got it. Thank you.
All right.